A lot of times we get questions about installation on the horn buttons when it comes to your steering wheel. Because we have so many different options as well as variations across the years of horn buttons, I wanted to discuss a few of those differences. So most commonly you're going to find our 1.4 inch horn button that includes the retainer ring. Now this ring most commonly is the thing that we find people have problems with. So this ring has a lip that holds the horn button into the center, and this is meant to be mounted under the steering wheel. So this would go under your steering wheel like so, and then the bolts pass through it. This gets clamped down, and then following installation the horn button gets pushed in from the top side and the ring holds it into place. Basically when you push the horn button in from the top, you want it to have some tension. So when it goes in, the horn button has 4 tabs that are basically held into that ring. So again, if you have a problem with your horn kind of flopping around or moving, you can try and flip this ring upside down, and that puts the smallest diameter upward and through the center of the steering wheel. That is one way to make a tighter fit. That also allows you to bend the lip more inward and get more engagement on the side of the horn. So that's like one of the most common issues that we have when it comes to people installing their horns. A lot of times we see this getting installed on top of the steering wheel. And while that does work, it's not really the aesthetic look that you're going for when you buy all these new parts. Next, we have our 1.7 inch horn button. And generally these aren't, at the moment, they're not different options on the website. We may add that in the future. But for the most part, this is a larger diameter that has way thicker clips on the back side of the horn button. And these are specific to our newer frame wheels, such as the Brute or the Ace model. And you'll notice that the center of the steering wheel is a perfect circle, whereas our older frames have these little notches on the inside. And what's going to happen is this horn on the old frame is a little too big and wouldn't actually clip in, which is why we have the old model with the retainer ring. But the new models have this smooth circle, and the actual horn button itself has a super tight engagement and clips into the steering wheel. So you no longer require the retainer ring on the underside of the wheel, but this is a super tight fit. So what you're gonna wanna do is there's a little spring on the back side along with the 4 tabs. You're gonna wanna make sure you push the spring in first when you're installing it at like an angle. You're gonna tilt that in and then line your steering wheel, the horn button up as best you can, and then snap it in. It's going to be really tight. You might have to give a lot of force, but you want to walk it in from one side to the other. And I recommend that you do this as a final step, because if you do this first then and need to remove the horn button, you may end up fighting it for quite some time or scratching your wheel or something because it's such a tight fit. So again, you'll see this mounts in and does not require the retainer ring like the previous models do. On top of that, if you are using one of our rotator spacer kits to correct orientation while using other brand hubs or quick releases, the inner diameter of this is designed to hold the smaller horn buttons in replacement of the retainer ring. So if you have an older steering wheel from us, the original frames that have the little notches, you can use this horn inside of this rotator ring without the use of a retainer. If you mount this rotator under your quick release, then you still would need to use the retainer ring under the steering wheel on top of the quick release. So it can be kind of confusing just talking about it, but once you actually have these items in front of you and you start to do the installation process, you'll very quickly realize the horn button's just kind of flopping around or falling out. And if you don't have one of these, you may need the retainer ring that is included with the horn. Maybe you just set it off to the side, didn't know what it was. Dig that back out. Keep this in your toolbox. Don't throw it away. When you get your steering wheel set up or you buy a horn, keep this somewhere, because you may need it later down the road. But again, this is a pretty common issue that we see when it comes to people installing their horn buttons incorrectly. Another component that goes along with the horn button for a steering wheel are the beauty bubble rings that we also sell. Most of these can be bought in a kit or purchased individually. When you're running one of these rings, this will mount on top of the steering wheel and the horn button and act as, it's purely an aesthetic option. It just mounts on top and kind of creates a flush mount for the horn, so it doesn't have this lip on top of the steering wheel. And these come in a variety of colors. Again, you can buy them as a complete kit or buy them individually, but if you are running a newer large snap-in style horn, we're going to want to send you a complete kit because these are designed to go with a smaller retainer style 1.4 inch horn button that fits right in it. You'll notice that on the back side there is a recession so that the horn button can fit perfectly within it. So again, this is one of those things where we have so many variations. There are so many different models and options out there. We mess with steering wheels and horn buttons all day, every day, and have for over a decade. So it's common knowledge to us because we deal with it all the time. But as you, the customer who maybe is just doing your first steering wheel or has done a different steering wheel in the past and doesn't have all these variations, you know, on the tip of your tongue, then I hope this will help you to better understand and plan for when you do your installation on your car in your next steering wheel.